Aline, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you for coming. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Happy early birthday.
Oh,
It's your
thank
birthday
you.
tomorrow.
Yeah. It is my birthday. I'm
What a
excited.
special gift to be able to see your work right before you turn 15. Right?
Not necessarily, but add half of that plus one.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's a pleasure to have you. I'm so excited to hear from you about what it took to create these beautiful illustrations for the butterfly key. Can I ask you some questions?
Sure.
So one of my things that I've been wondering about is how did you get inspired can you tell us a little bit about what you and I did for the process of illustrating this book? Like, how did that come about?
My inspiration really was basically what was needed for each individual chapter. And from there, it was more of seeing things in real life. And for instance, one of the pictures that we did was of a monstera. And you have a beautiful one back here that I love. And every time I see it, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's so green, it's so vibrant, it's so beautiful. So I snapped a picture of it. And from that, I was able to kind of create the cartoonish version of what it would be, with still keeping it like kind of like a bubbly line kind of look. And it's out of my comfort zone, but I did incorporate a little bit of color into it, kind of playing off the colors that I saw. And that was, like I said, inspiration for that was reference to real life and just kind of creating it into, like I said, that cartoonish kind of version. But
Yes.
I don't know, it was fun.
Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
I do know that I was very explicit about my direction with the illustrations for the book, and I wanted it to look, I said this to you, right? I want these illustrations to look like a little kid drew them, and that there was no perfection in them, that it was just like somebody just sketched it, and what you're saying, that took you out of your comfort zone. Can you tap into that a little bit?
Yeah, so I started off in my drawing journey just doing pencil, which is graphite, and with pencil you can erase it, you can smudge it, you can get into it, and I would literally like draw like this. And you can't really do that with an iPad because it's touch sensitive, so you're touching it, and also you get stuff all over everywhere. So I really had to kind of like find a gauge where, like, how far away from the page can I get without it messing up what I'm doing. And so with those kinds of works, I could spend, honestly, like 100% portrait, I would spend maybe a week and a half just doing one single portrait, but doing it digitally. And because there was so many of them, I couldn't take that time. And because it was a simple type of project, I couldn't become the perfectionist that I typically am. And so I was more of like, all right, how do I make this really beautiful, but still simple, but still fast enough to where I am not overexerting myself and pouring everything into the one drawing, instead of being able to kind of like put that into many pieces and have it a collective, like pouring my heart into all the collective of the drawings.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for answering that. And you just teed me up so nicely for my next question, which is, did this project help you come out a little bit from perfectionism?
100,000,000,000%.
I love to hear that.
Yeah, it made me, because it was such a like a youthful type of project, it made me tap into parts of little Aline that were not there. They were uncovered from this project. And it was very, very fun and whimsical to be able to create the drawings that I wish that I was able to do when I was a kid. Now. Yeah.
Oh, that is so cool that you say that, because I hope that you don't take this the wrong way, and I certainly don't, because I think it is a representation of the heart of this book. Everyone who's seen the illustrations has said that this looks like something a little kid with a lot of skill drew.
Yeah. Well.
Which, that is what I wanted, and I want to thank you as not just your auntie, but just as a person, that you were willing to sacrifice your own pride or your own, like, you know, you want to do some really good job at something, right? You sacrifice that feeling of wanting to make something perfect for the sake of just getting the project done. And you took a lot of criticism from me as we were drawing, and you took a lot of me saying, oh no, this isn't going to work for me, I need you to rework it. Hopefully I was kind.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But that had to be hard.
Yeah, I mostly draw for myself, or I draw with the intention of gifting it to somebody. And this was definitely, it's still a gift because it's I'm sharing my talent and my art, but it's a different kind of gift. And so it was very difficult because I did have to tap into your mind and see, like, what is she seeing through her eyes, and how can I create what it is that she's trying to visualize. And there was moments where I knew that you couldn't visualize it, so I couldn't see it, and I had to kind of like dig deeper. And it's like, what exactly do you see? And once you can see it a little bit, then I could take that and say, like, okay, maybe this is what she means. And so it was really nice because I could kind of break away from it and be more artistic and like think like, okay, creatively, what else might she be seeing that I may not see? And then that's when I created like 5 different ones, and I'm like, which one is the hand, you know, or like which bird do you like, you know?
Yes. So yeah, I just want to go back to saying thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your willingness to share your art in a way that was criticized by me, because I had to pick the ones that resonated with the project, and I saw you growing so immensely, not just as an artist but as a human being. Like you grew up to me through this project before my very eyes. And I think that is so rad to see in someone you love deeply, is to seeing them mature and knowing that no matter what, you're loved and you're enough and your art is enough, right? Yeah. I think as an artist, that's been one of my biggest humps to overcome, is the, what are people going to think of it? How are they going to view it or judge it? And will I be able to handle people hating what I make?
I could see that. Yeah.
You know, and I feel like you went above and beyond the call of just like being true to the project and allowing me to say, hey, no, this isn't going to work. Can we try this? I felt so supported by you in that regard, and it blessed my heart so much. And that is one of the reasons why this project is alive, is that you gave me the ability to say, no, that one isn't going to work, but this one is. And I feel like you and I have bonded even more on a deeper level. Like you and I have more intimacy now, because like we've been able to say like truths to one another, you know, which is communicating is like one of the biggest things you can learn how to do in any phase in life. So just thank you for your willingness to show up even when it was hard.
Of course. From my side of things, it wasn't hard for me to give you what you wanted. It was a joy to be able to even have this opportunity to be able to create this for you and for everyone who's going to be able to read it. And that's just like my perspective and my side of things. And if anything, like I was really striving to make sure that like what I offer you is exactly what it is that you wanted. So there was no hardship or anything from my part. It was more of just trying to create things that is truly the vision that you were looking for.
Yeah, and that is, I think that is what needs to happen when someone wants to do a creative job for the rest of their life, right? You have to switch it with, I'm making this art for a client who might like some of it and not, right? So I think that is super, super crucial to anyone out there who is a budding artist, is that if you can overcome feelings of someone saying, no, I don't like this, but listening to the person that is, you listen to me so well. That, I think, is one of the reasons why I had so much fun creating this book and putting it together. Was such a joy because I had all your amazing images to go with it. Can you take us through like what we did every time you came? Yeah. Like what was our process for getting the illustrations? Like what would we do each time we met?
Yeah, so from the very, very beginning, the most important thing is creating a color palette. And from there, you can start getting an idea of what that mood of the photos are. And that's with any project. Like, even if you're painting your house, like, you want to, like, okay, what did we want it to feel like?
Yeah.
And so that was one of the very first steps that we did.
Yeah, we created a mood board.
Yeah.
And that is, yes, vision and a mood board make a
Yes.
huge difference.
And then just having that is like your template and your pamphlet for what you want it to be. And then every day that I would come in, we would take it chapter by chapter, which was really nice because that way I'm able to almost like, it's like homework. Like, what can I take home to create that I can take my time and just have like, these are my 5 projects for this week, and however long I want to take, with having a potential deadline. And then just kind of filling in the gaps of like, okay, say that there was a project where we needed Jesus with the little girl, and it's like, okay, well, what do I think of Jesus, and what does she think of Jesus, and what is that collective, like, this is the representation of him. And then just trying to like make it look like the little girl that we created first. And that little girl, it's so funny because
I love her.
Yeah.
I love her so much. She's the cutest one.
When I was younger, my aunt would make me little birthday cards with her on it, essentially, and then I would create little birthday cards for her too. But she'd have like a squiggly on her dress because it was always a red dress. And I think grabbing that, I was like, this is the little girl for this book.
Yeah.
And so from there, having that kind of like, this is the look of what we want the rest of the pictures to look like, it just kind of grew from there. And
Yes.
every chapter I went back to the little girl. What does she look like? What's her style? And then how would little girl be in the world of the bear? Or how would little girl be in the world of the fountain and things like that? So that was more of the process.
Talking about the little girl, and I want to tap into what was your creative take on making her invisible, like having no skin color?
Yeah, so we were really diving back and forth on what is the little girl and what does she look like. And because this book, you're supposed to envision yourself as her, I wanted her to be so simple, so streamlined. I didn't want her to have any facial features because we're all different. I didn't want her to have a skin color because we're all different. And so having that just kind of simplicity and streamline, you can actually visualize yourself in her. And that was very, very important to me. Because I have looked at other books before where I'm like, that's not me. I don't visualize myself in her.
Right.
And I wanted that to be very, like, you do visualize yourself because that is you.
Yes, and anyone, when they're going through the book, they can color their own skin tone on the little girl, right? Because there's plenty of skin tones that God created, and we're all made in the image of God, and all skin tones are beautifully and wonderfully made. Absolutely. And we wanted her to have a representation of everyone. We can't really do that with one character, right? But creating her pretty much translucent with no skin tone, it is a place for you to create your own so that you can fill in, what do you look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And everyone loves little pigtails.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so now, yes, we went, our first step was a mood board. Then I think we worked on colors, right? We picked hex colors and created a palette.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about how organization played a part in this project for us?
Oh my gosh. So in the beginning, it wasn't just us. We also had somebody else helping us, which was incredibly amazing. But I, on Procreate, would find colors alongside Libier to find the perfect colors that we wanted. And the greatest part is that there's a tool that I learned way later that you can grab a color and find it.
Can you list off the items that you used for this project?
Sure. I have an iPad. I believe this one's the iPad Pro. It's one of the very first ones that came out from the Pro. And then I think this is the 2nd generation Apple Pencil. I'm really not sure.
That's
I just have it.
That's okay. But
and Procreate, and in the very beginning, I did get a couple other programs, like an Adobe one, which I ended up not really enjoying or using it as much. But those 3 things are what helped me alongside everything else, like the Mac, that we could move everything over so swiftly. I'm so honored to be able to have the funds to be able to purchase these things, to have this, because they have been amazing and crucial for this project.
They have been, and we loved the fact that we could just airdrop.
Yes.
Yeah. So when Aline would come, we would read every single chapter out loud. Every meeting, and we'd go by one chapter. All 11 chapters were done that way, and she literally would be drawing in the meeting, and sometimes she would finish, and they'd be like, "Oh, okay, I'm done. Here's your drawing. You can have it now." I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're so fast." And some other ones took a little more time, so we would give her homework and assignments, right? And then she would come back and be A+ student and have all her drawings, and I would cry every single time because I was a proud auntie. I think I cried every single time you brought me.
I think so,
okay.
yeah.
And I still want to because I'm so proud of you. It's been so fun, Aline. I'm so grateful for your heart. I'm grateful for your art. And
Thank you.
It's been an incredible journey to get this book from idea to a full-on actual book project. What does it feel like to you to think that there's going to be people looking at what you made? How does that impact you or resonate with you?
Right now, it's very surreal because I'm not used to it at all. I have always kept my heart, well, it is my heart because my art is in my heart. But I have always just drawn for me, like I said. And even in the one semester of an art class that I took in high school, half a semester, honestly, I was very no, don't look at my drawing. I'm drawing. And, it's just the assignment for the class. And then, of course, kids would look at it and be like, "Oh my gosh." And then the teacher would come over and I'm like, "Oh, please don't, show it to everybody. Can you put it under just an A so no one knows that it's mine?" So it's very, I feel very vulnerable to show this. And it's also kind of I made this, I don't know. It's a weird feeling. But I think what helps me take that feeling away is that just hearing the little things right now that people are super happy about it and they really enjoy them. It helps me understand that what I'm doing is even deeper than what I could possibly imagine. And in my own personal life, outside of my art, I've always wanted to help people in some way. And I have always known that ever since I was little. And now that I see it as in where I am in my life, even though I am an adult, I know I have more adult to live. Where I am now, the life that I've lived thus far, I can see that impact in the little things that I'm doing. And so I think this is really amazing that I'm able to show my art to not only little girls, it's going to be their parents, whoever buys this book for them, and just have a piece of me with them. And I think that's amazing. And it's not just my art, it's you're writing too, hand in hand. So the art impacts the writing as the writing impacts the art.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it does.
Yeah, so it's really, like I said, surreal. Maybe I'm gonna probably cry later when I have the book and sob my eyes out and be like, "I can't believe that I made this," But right now, just surreal.
Surreal. Very cool. If you can tell 5-year-old Aline something from this position right now about her art, what would you say to her?
Don't be discouraged from your art. You're gonna get better. You're already amazing at what you are. You're 5. You barely hold a pen. Yeah. And no matter what anybody has told you, you're gonna do it because you're doing it currently, and you will then, and in the future you will still do it. Because art is the very reason I do what I do for a living, how I make my money. And I think it's incredible that I'm able to continue to do it and not be that starving artist motif that I learned when I was a kid. People discourage you and telling you "Oh, there's no money in art, you can't," and it's wow, look at the world that we live in right now, 2022. Art is love.
Yeah, and it's important.
It's
art
so
heals.
important. Yeah.
Art has healed my heart in so many ways.
Mine too.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's beautiful. if you could give someone that is wanting to be an illustrator or wanting to do a book, like what would you say if you could boil it down to one lesson? What would that be?
Pray. That's the number one lesson. Pray. It's gonna come true. No matter what. Because you will make it and you won't notice it until you're there. And that's when you're like, you're right. It didn't happen when I thought it was gonna happen, but it happened in the most perfect way that it's gonna happen. You're gonna make me cry.
I love you so much. Thank you for being on the channel. You are awesome, and I'm so excited. And we're gonna have a party. We're gonna have a launch party and celebrate this baby book.
Yes.
Thank you, Aline.
You're
I'm so
welcome.
happy
Thank
to
you.
have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, adios.
Bye.
You send my kisses for me because I'm not there.